Hello, and welcome to Fresh Blood, a podcast about killing it after 40, where we prove that new blood does not necessarily equal young blood. Here to discuss what it takes to have continued success through life, I'll be your host, Jolie Downs. With over 20 years of executive recruiting experience, I've learned how much we can grow and be inspired by other people's stories. I'm excited to share that with you here on Fresh Blood. Today, we are speaking with Larry Hankin. Larry is an American character actor, performer, director, comedian, and producer. Larry has been acting in well-known movies and TV series since 1969. He is known for his major film roles as Charlie Butts in Escape from Alcatraz, Ace in Running Scared, and Carl Alphonse in Billy Madison. He has also appeared in everything from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Home Alone, Friends, Breaking Bad, Pretty Woman, Seinfeld, my goodness, the movie Annie, and so much more. Larry also does work with comedy improvisation groups. I am excited to learn more. Larry, could you tell us a little bit about your path to becoming actor, director, producer, comedian, and also what came first, too?
Okay, basically, though I don't think I have it, I have an OCD personality.
Okay.
But I didn't know that, and ADHD, and I'm dyslexic. So that all added to a bunch of good things and bad things, which I didn't know. When I was born and growing up, dyslexia, ADHD, and OCD weren't invented yet.
Yeah.
Nobody knew that. Nobody knew what the hell. Either a kid was, wow, he's quirky and crazy. I mean, or the kid's normal. And normal, and when I was growing up, was like Norman Rockwell, which didn't exist at all.
No.
So I had no choices.
No, that's really hard. How did you deal with that as a kid?
Well, it was very hard. I was beat up a lot. I was an outsider. And so I just grew accustomed to that, and I just adjusted to it and started to fight back, but it didn't cure me of anything. I still was. And it's still to this day. So yeah, I have to have mental workarounds about it. At least I realize I'm dyslexic and OCD. But it does help. There's certain things like art, why I'm doing all those things. I'm a Sagittarius, and I'm just...
So you're dealing with a lot of different things. How do you deal with all of these different things?
Well, a lot of time it's very hard, and I don't. It's very simple.
Okay, there you go.
I learned to walk away and not look back. Because of my mental situation. And I'm also smart, so that doesn't at all.
No.
You have those kind of things, because you're always like wising off or trying to work around in the wrong way or just talking when you shouldn't and all those things. Constant being 15 years old. Your mind is constantly 15 years old. It's all, oh, hey, what's that? Oh, let's do that. Oh, I'm tired of doing this now. So I had to work around. So that's my... baggage. Everybody has some kind of baggage, but you either deal with it or you don't. Yeah. That's the difference.
You were able to deal with all that and become an actor.
I tried to deal with it. I wasn't able to all the time. I wasn't, but I tried to, and I began to realize that I had these things, and that's the first thing. So they admit to it, but own it. Yeah. Own it is the word. So if you own it, you're ahead of the game already, and I did own it. That was the good part. That was the start. But it was an epiphany. It actually was an epiphany moment. I was watching, I'm not an actor. I'm a stand-up comedian. If you want to ask me what I am, I'm a comedian. Okay. That's what I am. Okay. I can act, but I'm not an actor because there's certain things I just can't do. Not because I'm dyslexic. It's beyond my, what do they call it? Beyond my capabilities.
Your expertise.
Beyond my expertise. And beyond my desire, which is very important. I just didn't want to do certain things. So even if I could do them well, like I was I'm a very good swimmer, like in races and championship stuff, which is what I was doing in high school. I was on the rifle team and I was on the swimming team. But I had no desire to be a marksman or a swimmer. So it doesn't matter whether I could do them really good or not. I just had no interest. Anybody who would want to push me, like the coaches, towards that hey, why don't you stay on the rifle team? Or why don't you stay swimming? Did no good. You can't convince somebody if they have no desire. You can't.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you're doing it so well. Big deal. In other words, what I guess I'm saying, because of what your program is trying to maintain, is that you can't push people into things they don't want to do. And my problem with my youth was I didn't go the way they were pushing, and that brought pushback. So already I'm in trouble.
And that's a lot of frustration.
But I think I did the right thing, even though it was a long haul. Because to go where they were pushing me, I would just go insane. I
give you big props for not going the way they pushed you, because a lot of people do just go with the way they're being pushed.
Yeah, man. And you can't do that. You shouldn't do it. Hey, whatever. It just doesn't work out.
Yeah. But how did you figure out you wanted?
So here's the moment. I was watching television and I was in the committee. I was just wandering around. I graduated high school. I graduated college as an industrial designer just because my parents pushed me into that. I was a young kid, and you look up to your parents, who weren't very good parents. They'll even admit that from the grave.
Yeah.
But they just weren't. Here's how bad it was. I was disinherited. You can't get me better than that.
No. Oh,
okay.
God, I'm sorry.
So that reads the tension right there.
Yeah.
Okay. So I try to be a good son because, I don't know, I think you're born with that. Listen to your parents. It's like ducks do it. Apes do it.
Everybody,
Why don't we
want that love and attention and acceptance from your parents.
Yeah. So I wasn't, okay. So I went to college and I got a degree in industrial design. My parents wanted me to be a lawyer or a doctor to take care of them in their old age. And I sensed that. I think Bob Dylan says, I was born doing it, born making poems and stuff like that. I was born doing it. Okay. I was born knowing to listen to these people. It just, I don't know. There was something. Okay. So I was watching television and I went to college. Listen, I wanted to be a good son. So I went to college and I became an industrial designer. And then I met a guy named Carl Gottlieb, who eventually wrote Jaws and the next 3 Jaws movies.
Awesome.
He was my best friend in college. And when we graduated, he said, where are you going? Where are you going after college? And I said, I don't know, but probably I'm going to Detroit to design futuristic cars for, I think it was Ford or Chevrolet, at a huge salary. I was really good at industrial design. I was one of the top students, a student. But I didn't want to do that. I was just trying to please my parents and get through this. But as soon as Carl said, I said, where are you going? And he said, I'm going to Greenwich Village. I want to be a writer. He always wanted to be a writer. He just knew that from the get-go. And I said, man, he said, why don't you go with me to Greenwich Village and we'll get an apartment together? And I said, well, what are we going to do there? If I'm an industrial designer, they're paying me a lot of money. He said, we'll get something. We'll get jobs. And I immediately thought, we're going to go to Greenwich Village and starve is what we're going to do. And let's do that. That I want to do. That sounds like something interesting I can get my head around. It was like a weird challenge, but more than that, it was just all of a sudden this shuttered life of doing what people want me to do. And all of a sudden he just threw the doors open. So we just hopped in a car and we went to Greenwich Village, and we did. I starved. I was just cleaning duck boards in a bar in Greenwich Village between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m.
Oh,
but I loved it. I didn't love it.
You were living life. Well, I get it. You were living your experience.
But I didn't look back. I didn't say, oh, man, I should have taken that job. No, I said, no, I'm here, and this is a terrible job. And I'm starving because Carl had a job right out of school. Because you're in the journalism school, so he just went to the newspapers in New York. Just local ones, small ones, nothing like the New York Times. Just 2,000 readers or something like that. But he had a job and he could pay the rent, and he was paying the rent for me. I was getting a couple of bucks, and he would feed me too. I would steal food from the bar, and he would go to these. You would review movies, but he was reviewing movies. All the little movies and all the little papers and all the big papers would review the same movie in the same theater. So he was with the New York Times. And what they did was they served you cold shrimp and some wine before you go to review the movie. So what he would do is he would take a linen napkin. Back in the day, you could have linen napkins. Wow. And he would take a handful of cold shrimp, put it in a napkin, wrap it up, put it in his suit pocket, and that would be my dinner for the night. And he would do that at least 3 times a week. But I accepted this where I didn't accept people telling me what to do. This was my choice, so I'm going with it. I don't remember any kind of looking back or hating it, or it was all cool, man. This is what life was. It was just trying to get through today.
Finding your path,
yeah. All right. And because of that, I started to watch open mic nights because I had my entire days and nights free. I worked from 2 a.m. till 6. So I started to hang around and I started to, stand-up comedy. I can do that. I was a funny guy in high school. So I did that, and eventually I got into Second City in the committee because of that. But just because I could do it, and I was funny, not because I had any kind of idea of being a star or anything like that. It was just, I could do this, and it was fun. And even when I got booed off the stage, which was rare, if they didn't laugh in those days in coffee house open mic nights, they sat there and waited because you only had 5 minutes, maybe 3 when you get up. So they would just wait for their friend to get up on the stage. And that's why they were there. In other words, each pocket of the audience was for somebody else getting up on the stage. If you weren't funny, they didn't care. You had 3 minutes, fine. My friend is coming up next. So they didn't boo because maybe, okay. And because of that, I got into the committee. All right. So I'm primed. Now I'm watching television and I'm watching actors, and I was a big fan of movies. So here's the moment. I'm watching television and I see on television an actress like, say, Lucille Ball, or in other words, a movie actress, female, who was an icon in movies. And then I see her as a sitcom mom or a sitcom wife. And then that made me notice all the other big-time movie actresses were now sitcom moms, wives, all of them. And I'm going, holy cow, man, if I'm going to be an actor, because I was in the improv, I was in Second City and the committee, it's just acting, but it's really not. That's the difference. I didn't know that. Acting is acting, improv is improv. So I said, I might be an actor someday, just because that's the way things are going. Not that I had a desire. But it seems like if you get older, you can't be an actress anymore. It's actress only. And I noticed that they were above 35. Back in the day, I'm done in the 60s. 35 was old for a woman. Now it's, you got 20 more years to go before you get old. Yeah. That's a crazy concept. But anyway, I noticed that all the women couldn't be actresses anymore. They were now sitcom moms, which wasn't an actress to me. That was a sitcom. And so I said, wait a minute, what about the guys? And so I turned my focus to the actor guys. And I said, oh my God, 45 to 55, sitcom dads. All those guys used to be big movie actors. And I said, no, I can't go there. So that's what woke me up to, you get old and you can't do what you want to do anymore. That was the big signal. And I was about 23 at the time. And I said, okay, from now on, and I have the drawings to prove what I'm going to tell you right now. I said, from now on, everything I do has got to be so that when my hair turns gray, I have a gig that I love. That was all. And everybody else from 23 to 65, all I got was, what the fuck are you doing, man? Why are you doing that? That's ridiculous. Whatever it was I was doing. But I knew what I was doing. I was just aiming for 65. I didn't care what I did now. I just like this now, but it seemed to them. And they really said, why are you doing this, man? It's useless. It's going nowhere. That was what they were saying. This goes nowhere, man. What I was doing was, while they were telling me this, I was sitting at home in between at night, going home from the committee. I would go home and I would write, but I would write things either that I could do in movies, like film shorts. I would write film shorts. Sit home and I write film shorts for me at 23, 24, 25, things that I could do as a film short where I'd save my money from the committee and I'd get enough money to make a little film short for me. But I would also draw me at 65, 70, 75. I draw the character that I wanted to play when I was 65. I have these images. My sister saved them.
Yeah.
And she sent them to me a couple of years ago. One of them.
Did
and
they
it is what I'm doing now. I didn't think about those drawings when I left home. I'd go home for the summer. I'd draw. I'd still draw. That's how she got them, from college or from wherever I'd visit. And then when she sent them to me, I was in the 90s, late 90s. She said, "Hey, look what I found." And it was a drawing that I had done in 1976, maybe, or before. It had a date on it. And it was a drawing of an old guy on a motorcycle, a guy about 65 or 70. Uh-huh. And son of a gun, I looked down and I'm writing a feature film of me, of a 65-year-old guy on a motorcycle. And it's holy cow, that blew my mind. But I thought, oh my God, I am two people. I'm a conscious guy, and there's a subconscious heel down there that's saying, yeah, but no, this, go over here a little. And it's been guiding me, and it's subconscious. It's weird. That's
in
my
youth.
Story.
That is really interesting. You've been working throughout life successfully in this business, which says a lot. So I know this is not an easy business to continue working in throughout your life.
I know. And it's getting harder now. I could never make it now.
So what would you say contributed to your success? Because
I had something in mind. Okay, and this I learned. I've read the Quran, the I Ching, every fucking religion you can think of. That's why I don't believe in God, because I've been in every religion you can think of, and they all talk about the same thing, and to make it so you can't question it, you put it in God's mouth. So, it's not me. What is and also LSD and Baba Ramdas and Leary and all of them. And basically what I found out, there is a truth. And that is that if you want to be anything, if you have any kind of desire to be successful, and success is you achieved you manifested what you had in mind. That to me is a success. And if you can do that, you have to have the end goal in mind to get, you have to know where you're going. You have to know, so some idea, I want to be a CEO. Oh, by the way, money is not a goal.
No, completely.
Completely. It's not. Yeah. And if you have money as your goal, you're fucked, man.
Yes, you are. And for that fulfilling life, you 100% are. Yes. You're going to find yourself just unhappy.
Oh, you're lost, man. Yeah. You're lost. Okay. So very early on, at the same time, I was discovering about women have to be sitcom moms. At the same time, I was tossing the I Ching. I was not only reading it, I was tossing it. And it said you got to know where you are, know where you're going. And life is figuring out the trip there. So wherever I was, I said, okay, I'm here. And where does this get me to where I'm going? In other words, where on the timeline is this? Oh, this isn't on the timeline at all? This will get me nowhere near 65 and what I want to be on the motorcycle? Then I'm not doing this for long. I'll just take my cash and go somewhere else.
Right.
And that's what I would do. And I would say, where on the timeline? So I could be happy there because this was on my timeline to get there. So I would do this the best I can and escape from Alcatraz. I was lost there because this is my biggest movie I've ever been in. I knew in my heart of heart that I was really a stand-up comedian. And so all these lines and working with Clint Eastwood and Don Siegel, who are icons in the movie world. But what kept me focused was those two guys who happened to be champs, because they knew what I knew. I knew what they knew. Mm-hmm. There was a camaraderie there of some sort. They knew I was serious about what I was doing, and I wasn't there to be rich, or I wanted to do the job good and have them know that I did a good job. And I also knew this was on the way to getting on that motorcycle. Yes. So I could be here now and yet know where I'm going. Mm-hmm. And any place where I am that I don't know it's on my timeline, I'm not going to last there very long. Or I'll use it like, okay, I'm going to get a check for doing something I don't want to do, but that check is going to get me to a movie, make a film short that's going to be on the way to there. So I was always trying to use it or push it to where my goal was.
Great.
The luck for me is, and I'm beginning to see that I'm starting to tell you something I don't want to tell you, and that is
what's that?
That it wasn't on my mind all the time, that I didn't lose myself in my dream about getting to be on a motorcycle when I was 65 as a role, as an actor. It was just sub rosa. It was just there. I would suddenly be somewhere saying, why am I here? And just be aware that there's more than just your conscious mind going through your day. Even when I was homeless, and again, I experienced a lot of things. It didn't bother me. I knew that I'm writing a book now. Oh, I have all this time. When you're homeless, all you own is time. That's all you have. Your possessions are not yours. You just have them.
What's that like for you being homeless? And
I knew I was learning stuff. I knew it. I said, I'm not ready to leave here. Because finally what happens is when you're homeless, and sometimes it clicks in and sometimes it doesn't, you say, all right, I had enough of this. This is bullshit. I'm out of here. And you don't know how to get out of there because you now have trained yourself to be here. Yeah. But you got to get out of there. There's something drives you to say, no,
how do you do
I got to get to 65 and this is not getting me there. So I'm out. You bust out. You're driven to get out, to stop being homeless. It's not working, man. But I was homeless for a year where it was working. I wanted to figure it out. Mm-hmm. I wanted to see if I could figure out how to be homeless because I thought this would be cool. I could learn something. Uh-huh. I didn't voluntarily become homeless. I fucked up, dropped my rent for 2 months, and when I got home, I went away to write with a friend. Mm. And when I came, and I didn't know the address of my apartment. Well, I was living in an apartment. I didn't know the address of the landlord to send the money, and I stupidly figured I'll just be 2 months behind in my rent, but I'm making enough money here to get back and pay her a little tip for letting me. But when I got back, I had been evicted already.
Oh, God. Oh, man.
And everything I had was thrown out.
Now, how did you deal with that moment? Because that's a big moment right there. What did you do?
When I came back and found everything. I lived on a little boat. Mm-hmm. It was a hollowed out boat. It wasn't fancy. I didn't bring guests there. Yeah. I just lived on a boat because it was $150 a month. Mm-hmm. I was starving as an actor. And so when I came back, everything I had on that boat had been tossed overboard.
Oh, my gosh.
So I was bereft.
Oh, gosh.
So I had no money and no things. My books, my mattress, my clothes, everything. My pens, my pencils.
Awful. What did you do? That's so upsetting.
So what I did was, I was 35. I was around 35, I think, 33, 34. What I did was I was very pragmatic. I go into a place of Zen when I get too crazy. Like that was too much. That's like overwhelming. So I just became very calm. And I just said, okay, I had a motorcycle. That was all. They couldn't throw my motorcycle overboard because it was parked not on the pier.
So, thank goodness.
Thank God. So I hopped on my motorcycle. I went I was living in Sausalito on the bay, but I was had been working in the committee in San Francisco. So I took my motorcycle, I drove into San Francisco, and I called a couple of friends and I told them, I said, hey, I don't have any place to live. I'll couch surf. All right, fine. And then somebody said, I'll sell you my VW bus for $5 because you can't stay on my couch anymore. Why? My wife doesn't. The talk in the kitchen while I was still like at 7 o'clock in the morning sleeping on the couch, and they had already gotten up and they were going to work or whatever they were doing. And I could hear them, hey, but why is it here so long? You've got time to get out of here. I mean, I don't care, man. Okay. Hey, listen, I think I'm going to leave today. So, but then he said, no, I'll sell you my VW bus. I was going to junk it for $5. I'll sell it to you. And they said, fine. He said, you can live in it. And I go, great. Boom. Problem solved. 35. I don't have to worry until I'm 65. And that was the thing. I don't have to worry until I'm 65. It was all down there. That was also another coping mechanism. This mechanism of, but now it's terrible, Larry. Yeah, but 65 is down there.
It's good.
I had always something to keep me going and steady. And that subconscious. So I bought it for $5 and literally it was a junker. There was no seats in it, no cloth in it. It was like a UPS delivery van. It was just all metal. And there was only one seat, which was very rickety for the driver, which in a Volkswagen VW van, which the front seat is one big seat. And then the back seat is one big seat. Yeah. But no, this had one, like a bus driver's seat, but it was rickety. Somebody had found one seat and bolted it to the floor, but it wasn't. So if you rode with me shotgun, you sat on a milk crate, milk crate.
Back in the day,
and I slept in the back, and I had like a curtain hung up right behind my seat, and that's where I lived. And I lived there for a year, and it was fine.
What did you learn from that experience?
That I'm pretty cool at surviving. I'll give you a note. This is just really weird, but you said the word survival, so it comes up. I have these epiphanies every once in a while. They're just like a thought that races by, and I'll grab it, and it'll keep me going for years. And it was just like a quick thought. Okay, I'm riding on my motorcycle one day at night. I go to a bachelor party, and I get drunk. I hadn't drunk before. I haven't drunk since. I don't drink. I'm not a drinker. I do other things to escape this reality, but liquor is not one of them. I got drunk at this party, and then they said, where are you going? I said, I'm driving home on my motorcycle. And they go, I don't want to do that. I said, yeah, I can handle it. So I got on my motorcycle, and I'm driving, and a car cut in front of me. I go right over. The wife of the guy driving described it to me. I flew over the hood that he cut like this in front of me. Oh, God. And I just flew over the hood of their car and landed flat on the surface of the road. So it wasn't my fault.
That's so scary.
Sharp thing in front of me, boom, over. And as I'm laying there, I hear with two voices. One voice is, don't die, please don't die. And it's the driver who had hit me, leaning over me saying, please don't die, don't die.
Oh, God.
And I'm just laying there, and I tried to get up, and I couldn't move, and I was paralyzed. My entire body was paralyzed from neck down. And I'm laying there, and I had one thought. As I became conscious, I hear this voice droning, and then I try to move, and I can't move anything. And I thought, okay, I'll just put a pencil in my mouth, and I can tap out the screenplay. Oh. And I went, I'm paralyzed, and that's what you think, Larry?
You're immediately going to, how can I deal with this?
How can I cope with this?
And how can I cope? That's a coping mechanism.
Yeah. Now, right after that thought, and then my astonishment at that thought that I'm paralyzed, and that's what you're thinking, you're going to type a screenplay with that's ridiculous. All of a sudden, my body just felt not numb anymore, and then I could move. And then I got up, and I was fine.
Wow. No.
But the thought occurred to me when I thought I was paralyzed forever. And obviously 2 seconds later, I would have freaked out. But the first thought that came into my mind, just for a parasecond, was, I'll put a pencil in my mouth. And it's a very casual, quick thought. Put a pencil in my mouth and I'll just type it out. And I thought, wow, what a survivor you are. What an idiot you are. But what a survivor. But that kind of mellowed me out for like years. I thought that when I was paralyzed. And I thought, oh, there is something down there that's keeping track of everything. There's something that's a mechanism that's cool.
When you realize you're capable of taking, you can handle.
Yeah, but I lived in my car for a year, and I was going to be homeless until I got that desire. I said, no, man, this is not working out. I conquered being homeless in that I could survive and knew where to get food, where to get shelter, and I wrote a book about it, a comedy.
You did? What was the book called?
The dossier file. The dossier file. It had something to do with something that was going on in politics. Everybody had a dossier. So it was the dossier. The dossier file. Okay.
And I love that you wrote a book from that. So would you say that was one of your greatest challenges in life, or was there something else that you feel has been one of your greatest obstacles or challenges that you've had to overcome?
To have the realization that 65 is just down the road. The horror of, oh my God, I'm getting older, because it was how people were relating to me that tipped me off.
How so? How are they relating?
They're relating to me like I'm an old person, like I'm an elder, especially young people. They would call me Mister.
I hate being called ma'am. I won't.
Yeah, that was the tip off. Yeah. Okay, Larry, here it comes. All that shit that you had. Okay, here comes 65. Now plug it in. Okay.
So how did you deal with this? Getting closer to that 65.
So the dealing with it was fine. It was the realization that was the horror. It was just your hit with it, sir, and then another sir. And then I was thinking, well, the next thing is somebody gets up to give me their seat. That'll be it, man. just blow my brains out. Because I would see all my friends who are the same age as I was getting old. And I wasn't. I just wasn't, man. Now, it wasn't I'm not going to get old. I have a 16-year-old somewhere in there. I do. I just thank God for him.
Just an energy to yourself.
It's an energy thing. Yeah. But I was planning for it, so I was ready for it. It was just the shock of the sir, or somebody would hold the door open for me, or I would drop something and a young kid would pick it up for me. That's another insult. I can fucking bend down. But no, you got white hair. Oh, man. So that was like rude. That was just like rude to me. Nobody else knew it. I wasn't being rude. Yeah. The kid wasn't. So the children woke me up to that. How they related to me.
Yeah.
But then, they said, okay, now plug in all that writing that you have about, and the drawing. And then that's when I got out that drawing my sister sent me of the old guy on the motorcycle. And I said, okay, just write for this guy now. That's who your aim is. It's here. Okay. I started doing film shorts of me as an older person. I grew a beard, let my beard grow, my mustache, let my hair grow long. And I was going to be a homeless guy because I had done homeless. I knew that life. I could make fun of it. It was another lifestyle that I was in. So I started to write for that. And as soon as I was writing for something that I knew was furthering, I'm writing something for something that I'm going to do pretty soon, like tomorrow or next year or in 2 years or even in 5 years or 10 years. In other words, now I'm on that road. All that stuff was preparation and getting me to the road. I had the map. I was going this way. Oh, here's the highway to death. I have the whole thing all done. It's already done. It's way down the road. And it's fine, man. I'm doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
And if you're doing what you want to do, you can cope with anything.
Yes.
Sickness.
No, that is the goal, to be doing what you want to do.
Pathology, whatever. It's just friends passing. It's, you have.
Yeah. So out of all of the things that you've done, because you've held a lot of different roles, you've done a lot throughout your life, what do you feel has been your greatest success, one or two of your greatest successes, and what did you learn from it?
Escape from Alcatraz, which was everything, both answers both questions. It's my greatest success because I think to this day, it's probably one of my best performances as an actor, to really do the job of acting, creating a character, making it believable, being here now in that scene and also it taught me everything I needed to know about acting, directing, and making movies, because I was working with Clint Eastwood and I was working with Don Siegel, Don Siegel is an artist director. He's a great director. I can never say enough about that man. And Clint Eastwood was a professional, big world star. And I just hung out with them. And I was able to keep up with them, and not even with them, but I could talk to them and be in the same movie with them. And whenever I would screw up, they would let me know it. And they would do it in the greatest, either roughest way or the kindest way imaginable. Wow. They were like the yin yang of what parents should be. Don Siegel was like my grandfather, like the greatest grandfather you could ever have. And Don and Clint Eastwood was like the sternest father you could ever have. I mean, don't look around when you're around Clint. He'll laugh. If you're funny, he'll laugh. He's got an incredible sense of humor. But if it's not funny, you better be ready for the blowback. But Don Siegel would just put me on all the time. So I was learning how to act because I would pay attention. I would follow Don Siegel around like a little puppy. And I would follow Clint Eastwood around like a little puppy. I just want to be around him. Here's a little trivia nobody knows about Clint Eastwood. He is a master of Lear's limericks, a savant. He's a savant of Lear's limericks. He never went into his dressing room, neither did I. He always ate with the crew, with the extras, who are the 200 prisoners. They were extras. Mm-hmm. They had no lines. They would just get dressed and be in the background. He always ate with them. Mass table, about 200. So I always ate with them to eat with him. So I was always at his table. And what he would do to entertain them, because I was going to ask him questions and silly questions and blah, blah, blah. But what he would do was he would say, give me a topic. And they would say, bananas. And he would go, okay, there was a banana named Mike. And he would just do a Lear's limerick on that. And it would be a real Lear's limerick. Maybe he was making them up, but I never saw him stumped. And in 3 months that I was with him, he always, and they would just pepper him with, do one about. And he go, boom. And he didn't even think. He would just go, bananas, boom. Michael, boom.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. But so the success and the failure or whatever it was, or what was the happiest, and what did I learn? I learned how to make movies. I learned how to become an actor, and not be an actor, but to become an actor. What it takes. And yeah, and I screwed up a lot on the movie. Luckily, more in front of Don Siegel than in front of Clint. But Clint, I screwed up in front of Clint, man, and he just let me have it. Full both barrels. They don't fool around. I tell you one thing, really great people don't fool around. They'll either let you have the full glory or both barrels. And I saw both of them doing great work. And both of them under a lot of pressure. One time, and I was totally naive. So here's what I learned. Okay, what did I learn? I'm on the set with Clint Eastwood, and he goes, and here's the ritual. Take one, okay, cut. Don Siegel comes over to Clint Eastwood, and all my scenes were Clint Eastwood, so I always saw this for 3 months. And generally, it was just me and Clint somehow. The three of us. Okay, so Don Siegel comes in, and he goes, how was that for you, Clint? And Clint says, that was okay for me. So he says, okay, moving on. He always checked with Clint. Never with me. Never you. Ever. I was like, not there. If they had something to talk about, it was like, this guy isn't even here. Which kind of bugged me. But they never turned to me or anything. I just stand there, but I could hear what they were saying. Okay, now, if he said, how was that for you? And then, I don't know. Oh, or generally what happened was, no, Clint, how was that for you? That was great. Can we move on? And he'd say, no, that there was a camera came off the track. So there was a jiggle. We'd have to do it again. And then Clint would say, okay. But he always wanted to know what the reason was. And it better be a good reason. And from Don, it was always a good reason. Some mechanical thing. So we did it again. Okay. So one time I got fed up with it because my consciousness is on the surface. I can't hold that stuff back. I just can't. I had no mask or anything. So they come over and he said, how is that for you? And Clint Eastwood says, that was okay for me. And I said, well, I'd like to do it again. I think I could do it better. And Clint just looked at me without not even a moment of hesitation. He just says, yeah, Larry, I can't. And he walked away. And everybody, his crew, guys who made every movie with him, just laughed their ass off. And now I was in the barrel, man. It's over for you, Larry, because Clint walked away from me and they laughed and he let them. I was now the butt of all the jokes for the next 3 days until I finally got so angry. I said, I got to get out of the barrel. Because all they would do was just kid me. And it's terrible. It was terrible. And I stayed up at night trying to figure out how to get back. I didn't care what I had to do, but I'm not going to spend, I had a month and a half to go under these conditions. And I was trying my best to be a good actor, man. One day, just out of nowhere, and I was staying up at night, I'm on the set and he yells, cut, Don yells, cut, and he comes over and he says, how's that for you, Clint? And I don't think Clint understood that he was saying something verbatim that I had said in the past. Because Clint said to Don, I'd like to do it again. I think I can do it better. And when I heard that, all I said was, I can't. I don't think I can. And I walked away. And there was just dead silence. I just kept walking.
What happened?
And I kept on walking, and the door is getting further and further away in my mind. I'm just walking. And finally, I just hear, hey, Larry, come on back, will you, man? And it's Clint. It's okay, man. Come on back. What are you doing? And everybody laughed back there. So I came back. But everybody, that was it. I'm out of the barrel. Boom. But so that was cool. I stood up for myself, and that was a great thing I learned. They respect that. And the other thing was, watch your mouth, and you're doing a good job because they forgave you, or else you would have been fired. So that was the best and the worst. To have Clint Eastwood just walk away from you and have the crew laugh at you.
And then have him call you back.
And then 5 days later, standing up for yourself, to have him call you back.
Stand up for yourself.
And
that's got to feel good.
And we were buddies from then on. Then he
That's
understood, okay, this kid is trying. This kid wants to be good. Okay, leave him alone, man. And so they would open up to me more. They would explain things or tell me what was doing. And I always kept that in mind.
No, that's awesome. And from everything you've learned throughout life, what do you think is really key to having continued success through life?
I got to tell you, okay, before I answer that question, just remind me of that question. I got to say one thing. It's not that I was never depressed or got down or thought, oh my God, what am I doing with myself? Yeah, but I had the equipment and the tools to get myself out of that. You can't protect yourself from getting depressed or having bad things happen to you. A car can come around the corner and just hit me and I can't walk anymore.
Yeah. What tools do you feel like helped you the most to pull yourself out of depression?
It's happenstance. I didn't plan this. I'm not a good planner, but this is what happened. I'm a curious kid and I am intelligent. And I got to say this, when I say I'm intelligent, I'm not saying I'm a genius or that I'm intelligent. I'm saying I'm intelligent like every other Homo sapien on this planet is intelligent. There's nobody, I believe, on this planet that's a species, Homo sapiens, that isn't smart enough to figure out where you are at. I don't think anybody's that stupid, even if I call you stupid. I'm not stupid. You can't figure this out. I'm saying right now you're being stupid because there's a logic here and there's a logic here, and you can't see they connect. That makes you stupid. I'm not saying you're an idiot. They can't even see that. I'm not saying that you're not smart. I'm not saying that. Right now, you're stupid, man.
Yeah.
But you have the intelligence to work this out. You get help. Oh, that's an intelligent thought. I don't know what to do. I'm going to commit suicide. I'll call suicide help. That's a smart move. That's not stupid. That's smart. You have that intelligence. But that's what I mean. So I have that, and I know that. And a lot of people don't know that. They're not as stupid as they think they are. Yeah. You are way smarter than that.
Than you think.
Incredibly smarter than that. And then you get stupid. Okay. But you're stupid here. You think I'm saying you're idiot. No, you're not an idiot. No, nobody's an idiot. Okay. So I believe in myself. Somewhere deep down inside, I can figure it out. I can. I know I can. Even if it takes me days. Every time I get a big paycheck where I do something big and I get a big paycheck, so it's a reward. I don't think that, wow, I'm a genius. I just say, okay, I did this well.
Even yourself, know that you're smarter than too many people don't give themselves credit. I know too many friends who, they tell themselves that they're stupid or they
believe other people.
Yeah, they believe other people, or they grew up with a learning disability, so they feel like they're not intelligent enough, which is just ridiculous. It just means you learn a different way. And I don't know what causes it. I believe it's multitudes of things that cause us to feel these way and think these ways. But
here's something that saved me. This may be a simple thought, but I when I grew up, I had very bad parents. They were passive aggressive, mainly passive, and then aggressive. But nothing in between. Thank God for my mom, but my father was just off the charts. So there was no curiosity in my house, but they were all for impressing other people. Okay, so what they did is fill the house with important books that they never read, but like the entire Encyclopedia Britannica, the set, or the entire set of golden great literatures of history, like Cervantes and all the great books of history. But there was a set. They bought the set. Yeah. Never read them, but they had them there. So I would just read one of these, a page, or all my childhood, from time I could read, I would read fables, Grimm's fairy tales, and the great books of history and the Encyclopedia Britannica. That's all I read. And it stayed in there. I joined the poetry club because it was all girls in high school. Not to see I wanted to get laid. I wanted to get a date. I wanted to meet women. I thought, that's
smart thing. Where do you meet the women?
I took a lot of heat from my friends. You're in the poetry club. But I knew why I was there. The payoff was that I became a writer, and all those months and weeks of poetry in high school, trying to get a date, that poetry was going in. I was actually listening. It's there. I had it. It was a great gift that I didn't know I was giving myself.
Yeah.
So it's your upbringing and where you're picking up this stuff. But there was a selling out. That's what I think. I was talking to a great man once. And I said, what's the whole thing about selling out? Because Bob Dylan had just gone on the Ed Sullivan show, and they wouldn't let him sing a protest song, so he walked off. And it made the news. This was in the 60s. And they said, Bob Dylan, and they said, he didn't want to sell out. So I'm talking to this great man who happened to be Bob Dylan's manager. Hey, Bob, the Ed Sullivan said, what's the deal with selling out? And he said to me, very straightforward, very simple, didn't hesitate. He said, Larry, there's no such thing as selling out. And he walked away. And I'm glad he walked away, because it took me years to figure out what the hell he had just told me. But of course, I finally figured it out, which was a gift to me, but he told me that. What it is basically this. If somebody says to you, you're selling out, that's a label that they have assumed about you that they put on you. It has nothing to do with you. You did what you had to do. You weren't thinking, am I selling out or not? But somebody else saw it as you are this and now you're not, you are selling out. To think that you've sold out means that you've taken something some asshole has said about you and put it on you, and you're now wearing it and you're using it. Sellout has nothing to do with you. And I just applied that to everything else that anybody else ever put on me. That's your assumption. What the hell? Who to you to tell me? Now, it took me a long time, but it's these labels that we take on. It's not that I am bad or that you think I'm bad. It's not that I think you think I'm bad. I'm now bad because you assume that I'm bad. I'm bad. He thinks I'm bad, so I'm bad. And then you label everything that you're doing as bad. No, it's just all these labels. And the day you're born, first of all, Homo sapiens aren't born stupid. They aren't. They're born with all the equipment they need to survive. Or you wouldn't be born and we wouldn't be all over this planet screwing it up with our intelligence. No other animal shits where they sleep and eat. And that's what we're doing to this planet. Mercury in the water, in the air, we're ruining the air, we're ruining the water. Land development is killing the trees. It's no other animal does this. But we're smart enough to get to the moon. Woo!
Isn't it right there? That says it all, right? And it is heartbreaking. We really,
here's another sample.
Our priorities need to be
of logic. Homo sapiens logic. Animal doesn't have this logic. Our consciousness has this logic. Okay, we're 350,000 years old. Our Homo sapiens, with the brains that we have now, is at least 250,000 years old. The same intelligence. Okay, 8,000 years ago, we started to plant seeds. We discovered agriculture, which meant we didn't have to forage and hunt. We could just live in the same place, and we could breed and expand, and we could eat maybe small varmints that were in our thing. But basically, we could grow our own food. And that was the demise of Homo sapiens right there. Because, our brains for agriculture is 8,000 years old. Brains for surviving on an infinite plane is 350 to 250,000 years old. So 9,000 years ago, if I pointed that way and I said, if it was possible for you to walk that way forever, where would you end up? And you go, I would end up forever that way. And everybody would say, yeah, of course, you could walk straight that way forever. But now, today, 8,000 years only of intelligence. Now, if you could walk that way forever, where would you end up? And of course, the answer is you would end up coming from that way because the earth is round. No, that way is infinity forever. Our thinking for 200,000 years is everything is infinite. Food is infinite, air is infinite, water is infinite, forever. So we're still thinking infinite. Air is infinite, water is infinite, food is infinite. And yet, no, we're on a finite globe. And we only have 8,000 years of thinking and we don't think finite. We think infinite. Homo sapiens. You can't survive that way. No animal can survive. And remember, we're a species, and many species haven't survived. And we're a species, like bugs and rats and cockroaches and cows and cats and dogs. We're a species.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
A lot of regrets that are all over the board for what the Homo sapiens has done.
Just don't listen to other people. Don't take on labels. And just think ahead. Think ahead down the road. Where do you want to go?
What's been your biggest regret? And what did you learn from it?
I don't have any regrets. I don't regret anything I've done. I made some mistakes in my life, but I'm a human being, and you can overcome mistakes and errors, or just leave them behind and forget it. And okay, it never happened, or It did happen, and I've fucked up. I've blown relationships that I thought, wow, man, that was really a cool lady, and I just messed up. I regret that, but no, I don't. I'm here now, and I've met other people. And
all those things have led you to where you are.
Or I messed up that relationship. Yeah, mainly it's just relationships. I messed up, or I told that person off, and I shouldn't have, or I was wrong then, and I insisted I was right. But that's nothing.
What do you feel is something that you've learned that has brought you the most benefit in your life?
How to write, because it's a very self-revealing, and it gets a lot of anger and ennui and boredom and everything out. It just gets you out. It's like exercise, learning to ride my bike when I was a little kid, of course. But I find it very hard to exercise, and exercise is very healthy. Riding my bike, I get great joy out of it, but it's healthy. But I've done some really weird, interesting things. But I used to be a firebug. I used to be a pyromaniac, man. I burned down a barn. I burned down billboards. I was heavy into it. But I was, I was 14 or 15, 14, 13. So, now that's not right. I know that's not right, but I didn't know what I know what I'm telling you. I just, here's a regret. Most of the time, I'd say 99.9% of the time, I had some friends with me, at least 2 or 3. Freddie Huff and Eddie Haller. They were always when I burned something down or did some crazy fire thing where I burned my face off or something. They were there. There was always somebody there to say, hey, let's put it out now. So there was always a conscience. And some other kid to say, hey, man, it's too big. Let's put it out. And 99.9%, I would listen to them, and we would put it out in time. And then a couple of times I didn't. And that's when the barn burned down, and that's when the billboard burned down, and that's when the fireman came to my house and said, hey, your son was seen at the site of burning down that billboard down the block. Where was your son for the last 2 hours? And I'm hiding. And my mom said, and I heard her say this, he's been with me for the last 2 hours. And the fireman who smelled of smoke, who had just put out the fire that I had built, had burned down the barn, or the billboard. She lied to this fireman. I was like 15 or 14, and firemen were like big, like policemen and soldiers and jet pilots. So she lied to a fireman who was in full uniform and smelled of smoke. She lied to him. So I knew my mom really loves me. Proof right there. She lied to a fireman, man. Wow.
Your mama really loves you. Yes.
So, but I was a firebug, and that's not cool. But
I'm glad you're not a firebug anymore.
No, that was quick. I think that was the last one.
That'll knock the fear into you for sure.
Yeah, but just saying all these things that I know took years and years, and I'm just spouting them out to you. And I've been depressed, and I did bad things and good things, and
we all have.
I'm human, and you just ask yourself this. As an old person, I can figure this out. If you just have that, whatever. I'm getting old. I can figure this out. I got to get a prostate operation. I got to get my hip replaced. Yeah, but I can figure this out. And I also look to artists who are that old and that debilitated. One of my favorite. I'm big on art. These are my paintings here. So I paint. So I have other hobbies to keep my mind busy. I can't let my mind be not busy. But I think a lot of old people let their mind get not busy.
Yes,
they just sit.
They do.
Sitting. Okay, I'll give you. I just thought of it. All right, don't sit. Never sit. If you suspect that you're getting older, you got salt and pepper hair. Never sit down. Now I know that's an impossibility. But just keep that in your head. That thought, never sit down. If you're sitting down, you're smoking a pack of cigarettes. Just think that. You're sitting down, you're smoking. Sitting is the new smoking.
Oh, God, there's so much sitting too.
And you'll be fine, man. And if you
that's
can
good advice.
Keep moving and doing something, that's even better. And if you can keep moving and doing something with somebody else, that's like really cool.
That's really cool. Yes.
But that's all. Is that so hard?
No,
Get up
no. So
and do
no, that's
something.
great advice. Would that be your advice if I were to ask you what you
Get
feel
a
like
hobby
one
and do it.
change?
Just do it, not get.
Just
Don't
do it.
get anything. Do
Yeah.
something. Do.
So what do you think one change a listener could make right now that would help them get closer to their own success?
Just find something that you can do regularly that you'd like to be doing regularly. Don't do something regularly that you're going to hate. Oh, I'm going to do push-ups every day. No, you're not. Come on.
Yes.
Get a drawing pad. Get some crayons. I get crayons. I go into a store and I buy crayons like kids do. And I crayon. And then I got my internet. So I got digital crayons. Just make your own day. Get through today and find a safe place to sleep tonight. That's what I learned being homeless. And that just works for life. Just get through today and find a safe place to sleep tonight. And you'll be fine. But don't sit down too much. Just don't.
Don't sit down too much. I know we need to get wrapping up here soon, but there's a couple of things I wanted to ask. I'm curious, is there any book, video, movie, or talk that you felt has had a huge impact on your life and you think other people could benefit by doing?
Are you in California or where are you?
Yes, I'm in Santa Cruz.
PBS, KPR, Channel 28. They have exercise things. They have food things. They have an hour of just eating the right food. They have an hour of doing that woman who with the movement thing. She's incredible. But PBS, if you have no other outlet, just check PBS and listen to them and then do the thing because they are researching age. They are researching age and then telling you what's good for aging. There's no such, and get rid of the word old.
Yes.
Fight against it. Kick people who call you old or talk about old or act old in your presence. Just walk away. It's catching. I'm telling you, old age is catching. There's no such thing as old age. If you hang around old age, if you hang around old people long enough, you're going to get old. It's crazy. If you're under 90 and you think you're old, you're just kidding yourself. You're just like beating yourself up. Why are you beating yourself up? Would you beat yourself up voluntarily?
Right?
Do you like beating yourself up?
Yes. Do you like that? No, nobody likes that. So just stop, right?
Don't hang around with people. Hang around with young people. Hang around with college kids. Hang around with children. Children know where it's at as far as aging goes.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stay young at heart. I agree. That's exactly. And whoever you can surround yourself who keep you young at heart.
Okay. So all these things is under the rubric, figure it out. You're really so smart. Figure it out. Don't go for anybody. Hang around with people. Interact with people. Forget about trivial conversations. What do you call that? Small talk. No small talk. Don't sit down. Okay, I had 2 no's. No small talk. Don't sit down. That's it.
I like these rules. I can definitely go with no small talk very easily. I like the deep down conversation.
Causes wrinkles.
Ooh, there you go. I'm going to tell people this causes wrinkles. Can we just talk a little more deeply?
Yeah, I mean, get into some stuff. If you're looking at a tree, think about what kind of a tree is it? How deep are the roots? How does it grow? How does anything grow that slow? You got to be kidding me. I have thought about this. How does a sequoia tree get that big from a seed? It's crazy. Things like that. I really get into it. I don't just think.
Oh, I agree. I'm looking at the trees outside my window. It's fascinating. Just how the fact that our body heals itself.
The body is miracle. Okay, here's a good thought to bring it back. I had an operation and healed, and I'm fine. And you couldn't tell. I don't know I've had an operation. I remember it, but my body doesn't remember it. So the miracle of the body. As you cut your finger, you're trying to get the core out of the avocado. You're trying to get that off the knife, and you cut yourself.
Yeah.
By the way, that happens to be a fact. The biggest kitchen accidents on record is getting the avocado pit off of the knife.
Really?
More
Okay,
people
people,
cut themselves.
really quick. I'm giving a service announcement. Stop using the knife and start using a spoon. Okay. Use life-changing. Use the
Oh,
spoon
okay. There
to
you
take the
go.
pit out.
Okay, great. What was my point is, if you cut yourself and then it heals, okay, think about how the body did that without your permission or even noticing. There's a whole automatic stuff going on inside your body which you have no idea about, you can't control, and it heals. But it does, and doctors know how it's done, but you could figure it out. See, in other words, get yourself into the habit of figuring things out. Have my finger heal. All right. And even if you figure it out wrong, at least you're trying to figure it out. So when a big problem comes along, you do the same thing. Oh, I can figure it out. I'm depressed. How can I get undepressed? I have a headache. I figured it out the other day. I had a headache that wouldn't go away. Actually, it was my glasses. I was on the internet, and it was the wrong prescription.
Wrong glasses.
A headache. I tried to figure it out. I couldn't figure it out. It's my glasses. What I figured out is take my glasses off and exercise. So I got on my bike and I rode, and it went away. I went outside. Went away.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And then another time, the same thing until I got new glasses. I got a headache and I didn't want to go outside. So I just got heat. By the way, any pain, any kind of pain, generally 99% is caused by blood. It's just so much blood goes to where the pain is, that it starts to swell. Okay. And that swelling is the pain. It's not the injury. It's the swelling around the injury that causes the pain. Actually didn't know that. So that's why sometimes they say if you sprain your ankle, put heat on it or cold. Both either make blood flow away or chases blood away. Okay, so I got a headache. So I got turn the hot water on, got a rag. I got a rag. And I put a hot water compress. Now the hot water was really hot. But eventually, it was just like taking an aspirin. It just went away. Hot. Yeah. Okay, I would say take an aspirin. In other words, that's a long way around.
That'll work a little easier.
But I wanted to just figure it out. I wanted to see if I didn't want to take an aspirin. I don't like to take drugs.
You wanted to figure out
if the heat thing worked on the blood thing, and the headache is blood. Boom. Yeah. And it did. It took a while, but I figured it out. You can figure it out, and you may figure out, well, I need help. That's a figuring out. That's figuring. Or I can do it myself. Or, maybe sharpen the knife. Or maybe don't use a knife. Just figure it out, but use your body, and God designed this to be used. Use it, and you won't get old.
Yeah. So this has been great, Larry. Thank you so much. Before we go, I want to ask you one of my favorite questions, because I love the answer that comes from various people. What are you sure of in life?
That I'm going to die.
Well, there you go. See? That's the truest answer right there.
Is that what everybody answers?
No, that's the first time. Because it's, you know what? It's a hard question. What are you sure of in life? Really, if you think about what are you sure of? So it's very interesting to hear what the answers are.
Then if you asked me and I gave you one answer, or you only gave me one answer, and I gave you the answer. Yeah, but there are other things that I hope, you hope that your child is, if you're pregnant, you hope your child is going to be born, or that they're healthy, or you're sure that I'm going to wake up. Well, no, I can't even be sure I'm going to wake up tomorrow.
No, that's the thing. You can't be sure. You hope for these.
I was just thinking, I'm sure my wife loves me. First, I don't have a wife. But those who do have a wife, you can say that and you can believe it, but you can't be sure of that. I mean, because it's a human being, and maybe she won't wake up tomorrow, and then there you go. Exactly. Whatever.
No, I know. So it's a great question, but you're right. The one thing that everyone can be sure of
is that we are going to die. I'm not afraid because, if you can't deal with that. There's no other way around it. So that's a fait accompli. Okay. Yeah. So I don't have to think about that at all. It's taken care of. I don't have to do that. That's somebody else's job. The things that I'm not quite sure of, that I have to take care of. I got to keep my bank straight. I got to pay my rent. Those are, So, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's great. Out. No, thank you so much, Larry. This has been wonderful. I really appreciate your time. Is there anything that I didn't ask?
That stuff.
Is there anything I didn't ask that you would want to tell people about, or anything that they should be aware of? Any shows or shorts that they should go?
As far as I'm going, I've said too much. So that's the end of that. And then, the reallarryhankin.com is my website. And there's what I do to keep myself informed enough to talk to you.
Great. So everyone should check out.
And Patreon. Patreon.com/Larry Hankin. And that's my new channel. And there I'll be putting up my new stuff. The website is my artwork and everything I've done up to this conversation with you.
Oh, love. I want to check out your artwork.
All the stuff I'm doing forward.
Perfect. So I'll make sure and have those links in the show notes for anyone as well. All right. But thank you again, Larry. It's been wonderful. I am so grateful Larry shared his story here with us. There were a lot of great takeaways from his journey. Larry's early years gives us a very important lesson. Larry was a great swimmer, he was an excellent marksman, and the coaches, they tried to get him to put in that effort, to go far. But it was not something that Larry loved to do. He did not want it. He could not be pushed into the things that he could not find joy and excitement about. I applaud Larry for this, because too many of us are easily pushed into things that we don't really want, but are told that it's good for us. Too many people have missed out on the joy that their own personal path would have given them by listening to other people's heads instead of their own hearts. Larry had a nice little life lined up after graduation. He had an excellent job with a steady paycheck, all ready to go. A life that would have made his parents incredibly happy. But this was not the life that was going to make Larry happy. And Larry realized that he needed to live his own life. Instead of choosing the paved out path with a job that he didn't really want, but with an excellent salary, instead he chose to move to New York with a friend to scrape and scramble and spend time figuring out what he wanted and where he wanted to be. Life may not have been super easy for him during that time, but it was right. Through all the difficult work and struggles, Larry was happy. He loved his life because he was living exactly how he wanted to be living. It was his choice, and therefore there was complete acceptance. Are you living the life of your choice? Do you feel acceptance for the decisions you've made in life? If you don't feel that acceptance, ask yourself, have the decisions you've made been your own, or were they influenced by others? We all want to bring awareness to our own inner desires and be sure that we are making decisions that are our own. As Larry shared, success to him is achieving what you had in mind. Money is no goal. You have to know who you are, know where you want to go, and then enjoy figuring out the trip there. There is beauty and power in getting clarity on your personal goals. Once you know what you want, you will not allow others to derail you, at least for not too long, which is why consistent check-ins with yourself are a must. Where are you? Where is this taking you? Where are you on your own personal timeline? Is your current path taking you where you want to go? Larry would ask himself these questions, and if the answer did not align, he would not stay on that path for very long. He would learn his lessons from the experience and move on. This saves Larry from spending his precious time and energy on other people's dreams and keeps him focused in on his own. I hope you do the same. I found the theme in Larry's story about homelessness and getting hit by the motorcycle very powerful. When Larry found himself homeless, he didn't freak out. It was a mistake how it happened, but he just thought, well, why don't I give it a try and figure it out? What can I learn here? And then when the homelessness got to the point of concern, Larry thought, well, this isn't good. It's time to figure out how to get myself out of this situation. And then he did so. When Larry was hit by a motorcycle, and in that moment, thinking he was paralyzed for the rest of his life, he thought, well, at least I can type my manuscript with my pencil in my mouth. I'll figure it out. To me, this is a beautiful example of the resiliency of the human spirit. We humans are truly remarkable. Our ability to adapt and push forward amongst all odds is an inspirational nod to the overwhelming awe and wonder that this world holds. You hold reserves within your spirit that you have never yet touched. Your well runs deep, deeper than one can fathom, and you can figure it out. Whatever it is that you are dealing with right now, know this in your heart. You will figure it out. As Larry said, you cannot stop yourself from getting depressed. You can't stop bad things from happening to you, but you can pull yourself out of whatever negative situation life may bring. You are much smarter than you think you are. You can find tools that will help you. Everyone is smart enough to figure out what steps you need to take, even if that step is asking for help. And let's be very clear here. It is intelligence that leads to asking for help. Please, if you need help in any way, do not allow your ego to stop you. Let your intelligence reign and get the assistance you need. I'll say it again. It is smart to ask for help. I appreciated that Larry brought up the fact that our intelligence is what has caused all the pain to the earth and our environment. All of our advances, they have created this pollution and climate change that we are now in a desperate position dealing with the unnatural and horrific consequences. I am asking everyone for help. We must come together to force the political system to do what is needed and quickly to avert greater mass suffering. Anytime you can make a decision, big or small, to help the needs of our planet, please do so. I loved Larry's anecdote about Bob Dylan's manager, saying that there is no such thing as a sellout. If somebody tells you that you are selling out, that is simply a label they have assumed about you. That is something they put on you, and that has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. At every stage of the game, we are doing our best, making the best decisions we can based on where we are in life and given the information we have been provided. Every decision you make is based on what is best for you in that moment. And you cannot sell out from yourself. I liked Larry's version of a sellout. A sellout means you've taken on something that someone else has said about you and accepted it as your own. You put it on yourself. This happens to so many of us. especially when those labels get thrown out at impressionable times in life. I know I've accepted labels in the past that were not really mine, simply because someone was insensitive and unaware. But I thought that they knew more than me. It took my own learning and growth to realize the truth. No one knows me more than me. I am the only one who can define who and what I am. So ask yourself, are you wearing labels that others have put on you? Let me give you a hint. If you are holding any negative definition of yourself, then it is a yes. Question every negative label. I promise you, it is a lie. Your essential self cannot be defined by labels. You are constantly changing and evolving. Even the cells in your body are replacing themselves all the time. Remember this. You contain multitudes. Larry had great advice around aging as well. He pointed out that often as people get older, they allow their minds to be not so busy. They start to sit around more and slow down. And if you are doing so and you're hanging out with people who are also acting old and tired, then you are more likely to start taking on those attributes. Take Larry's advice and remove the word old from your vocabulary. Old is a state of mind. Surround yourself with the people who have a vibrant energy. It's the energy that keeps you youthful. Do not allow yourself to just sit around. Keep yourself busy with hobbies and things that you want to be doing. Do not focus on the things that you feel you should be doing. Do the things you want to be doing to bring that joyful energy into your life. Live at every age, at every stage. And remember, a body and mind in motion will stay in motion. A body and mind at rest will stay at rest. I'll leave you with my wish for us all, that every day, regardless of age, we will fill our lives with a youthful, vibrant energy that keeps us moving forward in our own positive direction. Thanks for joining me once again. Until next time. Thank you for joining us on Fresh Blood. Subscribe and follow us on all streaming services, including Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Player FM. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Fresh Blood Podcast. If you liked today's episode, please consider giving us a like and sharing with a friend. I hope you make today a most fulfilling day.